Welcome back, Sentinels. Welcome back. Another episode of Black Father Sentinel, where we are changing the narrative of how fathers are depicted as well as discussed in today's society. Back with another banger for you all. All right, but before we jump into this video, let's make sure we take care of all our YouTube stuff. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And make sure after the video is complete that you leave a comment at the bottom. I love to engage back and forth with you all. And last but not least, make sure we're hitting that share button so we can continue to push this message forward. All right? Now that that's out the way, let's dive right into the video. This video I have entitled Sibling Rivalries. All right? Now, if you don't know what I'm referring to, you have to have siblings that's close in age. Here's what I found out. If you have a sibling that's close in age, between 2 to 3 years apart, they're going to go through some type of conflict with each other. It could be a verbal conflict, it could be a physical conflict, but conflict is definitely going to occur. Me and my brother went through it. I'm sure parents can relate to this video as I dive into it. If you have siblings or if you have kids that are close in proximity to each other in age, there's definitely going to be some conflict that arises. All right. So let me just walk you through the story of how it took place. So it's Father's Day, 2023. I'm kidding, but it's Father's Day. And so my daughter, she storms in the house and she just immediately asks for the remote. Where's the remote? I'm like, excuse me? I thought it was my day. You can't say hi. You can't say Happy Father's Day. What the heck is going on? And so I look at her and I can tell on her face, she is just like highly upset about something. It looks as if she was even crying, right? So who comes in behind her? Her older brother as well as her younger brother. I look at them, they hurry up and look the other way. So I know something is up, right? So I'm like, what is going on? And so the older son, my son Noah, he said, she got an attitude. Okay, so if you pointing out her faults, you definitely involved in some type of way. And guess what? The young one come in, Noble, he comes in and say the same thing. She got an attitude, Dad. Like he just regurgitate the same thing that his older brother says, right? So 2 peas in a pot. Anyway, so I let her like 1 or 2 minutes roll past, and then I get a phone call from Mom. She calls me just to give you a heads up. Naomi and Noah got into it. I'm like, what do you mean got into it? They were fighting. I'm like, what? Okay, now what is going on now? Okay, so she explains to me, I guess they were going back and forth over some type of cream cheese that goes on the bagel. It was not enough cream cheese left over, and then they got into a scuffle. It went down over cream cheese. Out of all things, it went down over cream cheese. So I'm just like, okay, cool. She was like, I think it got a little bit too out of hand, so you may just need to show her some extra TLC for the day. I said, don't even worry about it. Say less. We're going to get this in control. All right? So I go to the living room. I gather them all together. Hey, you get over here, you get over here, and you get over here. All right? Let's talk about this thing. You know me. I'm all for civil discourse. We don't need to go back and forth. We're not trying to do all that. We're going to figure this thing out. So I asked them what happened, okay? So I allowed my daughter, no, the son, he went first. Okay, so Noah said, Dad, she was talking too much. I told her, stop talking to me all the time. You're just talking too much. Enough is enough. Boom. So I stopped listening to him after he said she was talking too much. I'm just like, yeah, we're going to get that together. So I let the daughter go ahead, chime in. Dad, they just kept messing with me. He was talking to me, so I was talking to them. They didn't want to stop, so I didn't want to stop. Okay, got it. I asked the younger one. He's 6 years old. No, but what happened? Dad, she was talking too much, Dad, and then her and Noah had just got into it, Dad. They was talking. So I just shut them all down. And basically in my mind at that point, I just realized that, like, number one, my kids are competitive, right? Just in any regard. That's why they're great at academics as well as great at sports. My kids are just quite naturally competitive, right? They just want to be in that type of environment. Like they feel comfortable in that type of environment. That's all good and that's fine and dandy, just not with each other, right? So I knew I had to break this down, okay? So again, the young one, he just regurgitating what the older one said. I really don't pay him no attention, but for sure I'm talking to the oldest too. Like this is getting too far out of hand. I'm looking at my daughter, she got a scratch underneath her eye. Noah got whaps on his neck. I'm like, yeah, well, she got her some a little bit, but this can't continue to go on, okay? So I had to break it down to him. I had to, we got to, iron this out. We got to figure out what is going on, okay? So not only did I realize that my kids have control issues, right? Noah trying to control Naomi trying to control both of them, and then the little one just gets involved and he just have his little 3 cents whenever he can put it in. I ain't talking about nothing, right? And so I broke it down to him. I said, listen, y'all, first of all, we don't need to be fighting each other, right? We're a family. That just goes without saying. But let's just break down this incident, okay? So to the boys, here's what I said to them. And again, I don't attest to doing everything right. This is just the first thing that came to mind as I was talking to my children. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do it in the chat. I'm all for it. Let's have civil discourse. Just make sure that you're respectful, okay? So to the boys, I just began to break it down to them. Listen. We're not in the business of putting our hands on women at all, period. I don't care what they do, what they say. At this time, my son begins to interject. I just shut him down. I don't care what they do, okay? We are not in the business of putting our hands on women, period, at all, okay? I want you to understand that first and foremost. My youngest son, he just looking at me with a little smirk on his face. He thought it was funny. I let him get away with that now because I know he's younger. But as he grows into himself, I have to straighten him out too. So I let him know that we're not in the business of putting our hands on women, like, period. We just don't do that, right? Number one, also behind that, they just have to learn self-control, man. Like, what's wrong with you? You have to learn self-control. A lot of times, some people will just get into altercations with you just to see if they can get the best out of you or get a reaction out of you. You have to learn how to control that. You only can control what you can control, son. And you have control of yourself. So you need to start exercising that control, right? Just because she won't be quiet, that don't mean you get to force her to be quiet. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, you need to understand that. And I know, listen, I also told him this. I know the lady's going to be mad at me, but I told him flat out, you got to get used to women talking. That's what they do. They going to talk. Don't try to out-talk a woman. Like, it's just not going to work out in your best interest, ever. So learn how to walk away, get you some business. You better start jogging. You better start working out. You better start doing whatever you need to do. But that's just a battle that you're just not going to win, son, right? Women talk. That's what they do, right? You just got to figure out something else. You can't force them to stop talking. Who do you think you are? That's their natural makeup, right? I know we don't say as many words as they do. However, they talk. That's what she does, okay? So I hope I straightened them out in that regard. And then I went to my daughter. I just had to let her know, like, listen, you have to be mindful, honey, of your mouth. Now, I know women talk. I know where y'all think I'm going with this, but I'm not. I basically explained to her, she has the power to uplift somebody or use her mouth to get somebody all the way to the presidents of the United States, right? Like, she can encourage someone so much that she can get them to feel as if they can be the president of the United States of America, okay? Now, she also has the capability to tear the soul out of someone with that tongue of hers. And I'm talking about women in general. So I was just speaking in terms of women in general. You have the power of build up to the maximum level. You also have the power to tear down with that mouth, right? And this goes true for adult women as well. Y'all, I mean, a lot may, I hope y'all understand that y'all have that capability. And then also check out the other video that I dropped. There's power in words. So I just told her, listen, let's start using our mouth to uplift our brother, right? Uplift your brothers, right? Instead of trying to tear them down or uplift anybody for that matter. Let's just use our mouth in a positive light. That's it. Because I'm telling you, when you flip that thing around and start using it for a negative, there are consequences that come with that, okay? And then I also explained to her, yeah, listen, when you're having a conversation or when you are having discourse with other people, you have to be able to recognize your around, like your surroundings, recognize the other person, right? You have to be able to look at verbal or hear verbal cues as well as look at physical cues. You can tell when someone is getting agitated with what you're saying to them or getting irritated to what you're saying to them, right? They may verbally express it like, yo, that's enough. Or they may show it. They may begin to squirm or like, their face may begin to cringe up or whatever the case may be. You have to be able to recognize that. And at that point, it's time to stop. Right? And I want to teach her this at a young age because even as we get older, and fellas, you can attest to this, and women, sometimes you know you're doing this. Like, you can tell when you're talking to a man and it's just like enough is enough. You don't really have to say anymore, yet you keep on going. You see it all over his face that he doesn't want to talk about this anymore. He's trying to get up and walk away. You still just clapping, going. Stop. Like, enough is enough. Because I told her, like, everybody is not being raised like your brothers, right? With this self-control or this discipline or this order and this structure. Some of these guys that you deal with, they have mental issues. Like, really, you get to talking to them too much and then they want to make it a hands-on project. And you know we're not having that at all. So you just have to be mindful. Again, only control what you can control. And you can control your mouth. And you can control you can't control how the other person receives the message that you're trying to give, but you can take these. You can hear the verbal cue from them if they flat out say it. And also you can see the physical cue if you see them start to like quorum up or their face starts to cringe or whatever the case may be. At that time, enough is enough. Just stop, walk away, get out of there. Okay? So I don't know. Listen, I don't know if I told them the right thing, but I just don't want them to go through this back and forth anymore. You know what I mean? Like, my kids, especially my younger three, they're so competitive. Like, if Noah's talking to Naomi, Naomi's not going to be quiet till he be quiet. He's not going to be quiet till she's quiet, right? But they have to understand that as they get older in life, that back and forth between the opposite sex, that can go to a different level or a level to where you don't want to go. And for my boys specifically, I want them to get the self-control right now at this age. So it becomes easy when they get older, because the talking from women, that's not gonna stop, right? My daughter at this age right now, I want her to understand how to read and recognize. When you're talking to somebody, if you can see that it's making them uncomfortable or it's agitating them or it's irritating them, at that point, it's time to stop. You don't win by continue to go. You don't win by that. And my son, you don't win by forcing her to be quiet. You don't win like that, right? And so after I gave them the straighten and whatnot, they looking at me with these my kids, they got big old eyes. And so they looking at me with these puppy dog eyes, like, like I just hurt their feelings. But at that point, it's not even about hurting their feelings. It's about correcting them, making sure that they're like aligning up to be an asset in society as opposed to a liability, right? And so I know they probably didn't digest everything that I said in that exact moment, but I know they're listening, right? I know they are. And these words that I'm giving them right now, even though that they may not execute them right away, they'll eventually begin to execute them. And that's one of the things, fathers, that we have to understand. When they're younger, we feel like they don't always listen to us, but they hear us. They definitely hear us, and they're definitely listening, right? And as they get older and as they evolve, those words that we've been giving them, like, it reigns supreme in their mind, right? So now they have a tool base or a resource to pull from when they get into certain situations, right? All right, so that was just my spiel for today. Let me know what you all think. Would you have said something different to your boys? Would you have said something different to your daughter? Let me know what's going on. Again, I don't have all the answers. I need you all's help, right? Not only do I need the father's help for my support, right? Come on, fathers on fathers, let's change this narrative. But I also need the women help as well, right? Let me know, all right? I can't speak from a woman's perspective. I can only speak from a male's perspective, all right? So keep going. Fathers, I salute you. You're great out here. Keep pushing. Do what you need to do. No excuses, all right? Just another message from Black Father Sentinel. Salute you all.